but it's also the flow you're going to find in nature, whether it's in a garden, whether it is in a body, whether it is right where I am right now, which is in Africa, next to a safari. We're actually here in a resort, and as you can see here, we have got some visitors. This is a whole herd of zebra and wildebeest who have come to visit us today, and I'm going to kind of use them as a bit of an example today. They're going to kind of join me in this demonstration of what we mean by flow being natural, or as that Zen saying goes, in nature nothing is rushed but all is accomplished. Right? It happens as a result of two things, and the first one is the thing that maintains flow, which you have to automate, you have to outsource, you have to make sure you're not the one having to do it every day. That would be like having to direct the traffic instead of having traffic lights in place. If it's all happening automatically, it allows you to do the second thing, which is to grow flow. And that is like building new roads, creating new products, finding new customers. But you can only do that if the day-to-day things, like having to answer the customer service calls, having to deal with your emails, having to, count up the numbers, are all automated or outsourced, so that they're just happening automatically and giving you measures so that you can track where they're at and how your business is growing effectively. So I'm going to go through these 4 things, and we'll take a bit of a walk along here as well as we go, so that we can get our little visitors here to join in. This is the first day apparently that some of the zebra have come with their family. So we have some little zebras here as well. I'm going to kind of show you. What is these 2 things that I'm talking about? The first thing is something called processes. Processes are what maintain flow. So for example, in my body, I have processes. You do too. Process like heart beating, process like thinking. If I have to do all these things, make sure I'm breathing, make sure my heart's beating, if I have to do all these things consciously thinking about it, I wouldn't have time for anything else, and I'd kind of lose track pretty quickly and fall over and die. So as a result, nature ensures that all these things are automated and they have a rhythm. When you go to the doctor, the first thing he's doing is checking your heartbeat, he's checking your breathing. He's not checking it from the point of view of trying to make it faster or slower, he's checking it to check the rhythm. So all processes have a natural rhythm. And in the same way, your processes in your business as you grow, whether it's from $1 to $1,000, or whether it's from $1,000 to $1 million and plus, is going to happen as a result of you knowing what that rhythm is and actually tracking what you're expecting and then measuring it against that target, right? So the process of doing that is by layering it over 4 different levels. And while I'm going to go through these fairly quickly so you get the summary and the idea of it, you can get much more in detail on this when you go into Genius U, when you take that kind of like 3rd step we're about to get into, which is the 3rd step of Yellow Level, which is all about monetize your moment. So that's when we're going to get onto how you set up a profitable project. But first of all, let's just talk about what we're actually trying to manage when we're talking about the 4 key things. Here, see the little zebra, little baby? It's right over there. It's kind of looking at us. I don't think it's seen an iPhone before. So, all right, what are these for? First one is cash. Cash is about what's going on day by day in terms of cash coming in, cash going out, in terms of your profit and loss. These are things that in the past you'd have to wait for your accountant to give to you sometime in the future. But today you've got things like QuickBooks Online, you've got things like Xero, you've got all these online tools that allow you to measure your money day by day. So make sure you set yourself up with that to begin with. Number 1 thing is cash. Number 2 thing, layering on cash, when you say, well, how much money do I want to make, is the next thing, which is assets. I'm not just talking about physical assets, I'm talking about your products, I'm talking about your content. So what is your content rhythm, your content schedule when you're actually sending out content? What is your free product schedule? What is your product schedule in terms of, for the money I want to make, what products I'm going to sell? We're going to get onto that in the coming series, and the last 2 are about how you start designing those products to fit with your customers. So you can go back and have a look at the last of the series here if you haven't seen it yet. All right, so the second thing is your assets. The third thing is your relationships, because now you can layer on top of that the people you should be connecting with that would then lead to them taking on certain products, how many of them actually came on board each day, how many downloaded your e-guide, or how many of them ended up buying your product. This is about your customers. It's about your customers. Also, it's about your partners. So you can actually measure this through your customer relationship management software. This can be Infusionsoft, it can be Salesforce or some other software you use. Your partners, it could be an affiliate. We use Post Affiliate Pro. You might use a different affiliate system, but where you're actually tracking how many affiliates are coming on board, how active they are, and you've got your goals every single day of what you want to achieve. And then it also includes your team. How much inflow is your team? What are you tracking in terms of the milestones that they're aiming to go for? And then also, it's about your investors, right? So every one of the people that work or are stakeholders in your business, what is the flow that you're managing to make sure that they're always at their flow? And then that leads to the final thing, which is engagement. So your engagements, which is the two-way connections between you and your customers. For too many of us, we're not really thinking about those in the way that we need to, meaning that we're just busy doing stuff, right? We're busy, answering emails. We're busy, getting inquiries. We've got people coming to us with opportunities, and we're thinking, gosh, what do we do? What do we don't do? Well, remember, all your decisions are based on having clear criteria, and all your criteria is based on having clear context. So the context is, well, when I look at my engagements, what engagements are based on opportunities? Opportunities are where you have got people who are coming to you, interested in doing things with you, whether customers wanting products or whether partners wanting to work with you. And what's the criteria by which you're going to work with them based on the fact that those people are going to be creating relationships, are going to end up impacting your assets, which are going to end up impacting your cash. So each one layers onto the one above, and you then say, these are people I don't need to speak to until next year. This is an opportunity I should be thinking about next month, but this is the one that right now is the most important one. As well as opportunities, we also have your challenges, which are like, for example, service cases or even internal problems that you're looking to solve. So how are you tracking those? And there's some very simple ways you can do that, whether you're using Zendesk or some customer relation management software for your services and managing your cases, whether you're using something like Basecamp, which we do, which is for your project management. So you actually can track all of those communications and making sure that every engagement is ending up leading to some interaction, some new relationship, some new asset, which then leads to more cash. These four things are absolutely critical, because when we link them all together, what we realize is that everything's natural. I mean, here we are in nature, and that whole Zen saying that in nature nothing is rushed and all is accomplished. And what is so amazing about this process is that so many of us try and build a business as opposed to just growing it. And the reason that we end up getting stuck is too often we think it's something we have to work hard at. We think it's something where there's not enough resources. That concept of not having enough resources, the concept of lack, is something which was created in our economies about 150 years ago. In fact, there was a book from Adam Smith, which is called The Wealth of Nations, where he came up with the whole basis of what we now know as economics. And economics is about the idea of economizing. It's the study of scarce resources. So when you economize, you're actually kind of like saving, you're cutting back. So economics is about this whole idea that we work in an economy where there's never enough. Whereas as entrepreneurs, we know there's enough. If you get the right rhythm in place and you have a natural system. If you come out here to Africa, what you find is that it isn't like the survival of the fittest where it's all about competition because there's never enough and there's only one lion left in the jungle. No, this is about everyone, including the lions, coexisting with the other animals so that they're actually ensuring that the whole survives. This is not about an economy, it's about an ecology. This is not about how do you create lack, it's about how do you manage abundance and how do you do it in a way that you're actually in a rhythm and a cycle which actually follows the cycle of nature. This is what your business needs to do. Think of your cash as your lungs. So we have a system which has a rhythm to it, which is our respiratory system. Think of your relationships as your heart, right? So this is like your blood system, which we all have, which has a different beat. Think of your assets as your digestive system, where there's things that are actually going through you and will change, that will move, but they're actually what makes the body whole. And then think of your engagements as your nervous system, which is where the brain comes in. So now you've got your lungs, your heart, you've got your gut, you've got your brains, you've got all the things you need to actually make your body work naturally. By the way, cash, and then assets, and then relationships, and then engagements, C-A-R-E, is really what it's all about when it comes to taking care of your processes. Because when you take care of your processes, then you find that you take care of your relationships, you take care of your finances, you take care of your assets, and you take care of your business. For too many of us, we're too busy in the midst of it, running around doing it all, which means we can't get on to actually building the business to test and measure what's really working. Your goal is to make sure that not just you, but everyone in your team is not spending any time in processes. Everyone's owning 1 or 2 measures because they've outsourced it and they're checking in on them, but they're not the ones actually in there counting the money because it's done automatically. They're not in there actually physically answering every single call because there's a team that can actually do that for you, and there's a system that actually tracks that for you. The most important thing is to have everyone in your team aligned in such a way they can be out there building new projects and growing more flow, as opposed to having to be there maintaining flow until it breaks down. I hope that makes sense to you. We're going to see in the coming episode how you go about now growing flow. But for now, make sure that you follow along, you subscribe, and more importantly, you actually go onto Genius U and you set and ensure that you've done that second step at yellow level. The link is down below. If you just go into the comments, put the link there, and also make sure that you start asking whatever questions you have, because in the coming episodes, we are going to have our Q&A coming up. And with that being said, let me finish with our little family of zebra here, where we have our little baby, and we also have all the rest of our zebra just hanging out, relaxing, not caring the world, well, until the lion comes, that is, and then they'll just be a part of this entire beautiful African ecology that right now I'm a part of as well. So have an absolutely fantastic month ahead. Really looking forward to seeing the progress you're making. Put in your comments, and we'll catch up on the next video when we start focusing at how you grow your flow.